The Athenian sun beats down on a crowded courtroom, 501 jurors murmuring like a restless sea. At the center stands Socrates, a 70-year-old man with a weathered face and unyielding eyes, accused of corrupting the youth and defying the gods. His simple tunic contrasts with the pomp of his accusers, yet his voice carries a quiet thunder. "If I corrupt the young," he asks, "then what is virtue? Who among you can define it?" The room falls silent, his question a mirror exposing their shallow certainties. This is no mere trial. It's a clash between truth and power, between a man who dares to question and a society clinging to comforting lies. As the jury votes for death, Socrates remains unshaken, sipping hemlock later with the calm of a sage who has lived authentically. This moment, dear listener, isn't locked in 399 BC. It ripples into your life, where conformity tempts and truth demands courage. Step into Athens with me, and let Socrates' journey awaken the questions you've buried within. This is Socratic Spark, where ancient wisdom meets modern success. If you love timeless lessons and powerful motivation, hit subscribe and let's grow together. Picture a man wandering the sunlit agora of Athens, barefoot, his eyes alight with curiosity. This is Socrates, not a philosopher in a distant ivory tower, but a living voice who seems to speak directly to you, as if he stepped out of Plato's pages into your world. His questions, simple yet profound, linger like echoes. What is justice? What is a good life? Why do you believe what you believe? In 469 BC, born to a stonemason and midwife, Socrates didn't write treatises or seek fame. He roamed the marketplace, engaging anyone, artisan, politician, youth, in dialogues that stripped away pretense to reveal truth. His mantra, "The unexamined life is not worth living," isn't a relic. It's a beacon for today's world, where we grapple with conformity, misinformation, and the pressure to perform rather than be. Why does Socrates matter now? In an era of social media echo chambers, where algorithms dictate truth and success is measured in likes, his relentless pursuit of authenticity is a lifeline. He challenged the sophists, ancient influences peddling persuasion over substance, much like we face voices that prioritize clicks over clarity. His trial in 399 BC, where he faced death for corrupting the youth and impiety, wasn't just a legal battle. It was a stand for integrity against power. Choosing hemlock over compromise, Socrates showed that courage isn't loud, it's steadfast. Misunderstood as a troublemaker in his time, he's immortalized as a father of Western philosophy, influencing Plato, Aristotle, Augustine, and even modern thinkers like Nietzsche. His ideas resonate with your struggles, the pressure to conform at work, the search for purpose amid chaos, the courage to speak truth in a polarized world. Engaging with Socrates isn't about memorizing maxims. It's about sharpening your clarity, finding the bravery to live authentically, and embracing virtue as life's true north. As if he were beside you, his voice gentle yet urgent, he invites, "Let us examine this together." Trust this journey. It will illuminate your path, revealing not just Socrates, but the depths of your own soul. In the quiet of your heart, when the world's noise fades, have you ever doubted the truths you've been taught? This flicker of uncertainty is where Socrates began his revolution. In Athens, a city scarred by war and pride, he wandered the agora, a gadfly stinging the sluggish horse of society awake. Plato's apology captures him at his trial, facing 501 jurors with question, "If I corrupt the young, what is the good you claim to teach?" His accusers faltered, their rhetoric exposed as hollow. This wasn't defiance for sport. It was courage born of necessity. Socrates believed questioning wasn't rebellion, but the soul's duty to seek truth, no matter the cost. His method, the elenchus, was a scalpel cutting through assumptions. In Euthyphro, he asked a pious priest, "What is piety?" The answers unravel, revealing Euthyphro's shallow dogma. This courage shaped Plato's dialogues, which birthed the Academy, and Aristotle's systematic inquiries. Augustine used it to probe faith, while Nietzsche, in Beyond Good and Evil, wrestled with Socrates' dialectical rigor. Today, it lives in whistleblowers like Chelsea Manning, who question systemic lies, and in classrooms where students challenge outdated norms. How do you embody this? Start small. When a colleague pushes a flawed idea, ask, "Why do you believe this?" In personal life, question habits. Does scrolling social media align with your values? The risk is real. Friends may recoil, Bosses may frown, but Socrates' lantern lights the way, guiding you from illusion to clarity. Metaphorically, questioning is a spark that ignites a fire of wisdom, burning away falsehoods. As we move from courage to its foundation, consider what strength lies in admitting we know so little. Every soul carries a shadow of doubt, a whisper that our certainties may be fragile. Socrates turned the shadow into light, declaring, "I know that I know nothing." This paradox, born in the streets of Athens, wasn't defeat but liberation. In Theaetetus, he plays a midwife, drawing knowledge from a youth's mind, showing that true wisdom begins with humility. Unlike the sophists, who sold answers like wares, Socrates exposed their arrogance. In the Republic, he dismantles Thrasymachus' claim that might equals right, revealing that power without virtue is empty. This humility shaped philosophy. Plato's theory of form sought eternal truths beyond human grasp. Aristotle's scientific method embraced the unknown to build knowledge. Augustine's confessions lean on Socratic ignorance to explore divine mystery, while Nietzsche, in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, admired its intellectual honesty. Modern scientists like Carl Sagan echoed it, urging skepticism of untested claims. In therapy, Socratic questioning dismantled cognitive distortions, helping patients find clarity. Practically, embrace ignorance daily. In debates, say, "I might be wrong. Explain your view." At work, admit gaps in knowledge to learn anew. Metaphor, ignorance is a fertile soil where wisdom grows. Without it, we stagnate. In a world of loud opinions, this humility is revolutionary, preparing us for the moment when truth itself was tested. The Athenian courtroom was a crucible where truth faced the fire of human fear. In 399 BC, Socrates stood before 501 jurors, accused of impiety and corrupting youth. Plato's apology paints a vivid scene. Socrates, calm yet piercing, asked his accuser Meletus, "If I teach falsehoods, what is the truth you defend?" The question exposed not just Meletus' contradictions, but Athens' fragile ego. Sentenced to death, Socrates refused to flee, telling Crito, "To do wrong is worse than to suffer it." His hemlock was not defeat but triumph, a life lived for truth. This trial seeded philosophy. Plato founded the Academy to preserve Socratic inquiry. Aristotle critiqued democracy's flaws, shaping political theory. Augustine saw parallels in Christian martyrdom, while Nietzsche, in Twilight of the Idols, grappled with Socrates' rational defiance. Today, it inspires activists like Malala Yousafzai, who face persecution for truth. Apply this. Speak truth in small acts, correct misinformation kindly, stand firm in ethical dilemmas. Imagery. The trial is a storm, with truth's lightning exposing lies. This courage leads us to the heart of Socrates' philosophy. The life unexamined is no life at all. In the rush of daily existence, when was the last time you paused to ask, "Am I truly living?" Socrates' words at his trial, "The unexamined life is not worth living," cut through the noise of Athens and echo in our distracted age. In Phaedo, as he faces death, he debates the soul's immortality with serene logic, modeling a life of relentless reflection. In Meno, he draws knowledge from a slave boy, proving that truth lies within, waiting to be uncovered. Plato built epistemology on this. Aristotle's ethics sought the examined good. Augustine's introspections, Nietzsche's revaluations, all trace back to this ethos. Today, it lives in mindfulness practices and existential therapies, urging meaning over drift. Practice it. Journal nightly, asking, "Did I act with integrity?" In relationships, probe tensions with open questions. Metaphor. Life as a ship, examination the rudder steering through storms. Without it, we're adrift, leading us to seek the compass that guides us true. Amid life's chaos, what guides your choices? For Socrates, virtue was the soul's compass, not a rulebook but knowledge of good. In Euthydemus, he argues that virtue, not pleasure, brings true happiness. Unlike sophists who profited from teaching, Socrates lived his principles, mentoring freely, as Xenophon recounts. Aristotle's Nicomachean ethics defined virtue as balance. Augustine saw it as divine alignment. Nietzsche challenged it, urging new values. Modernly, positive psychology emphasizes virtues like integrity for well-being. Cultivate it. Practice honesty in small acts. Choose justice over convenience. Ask, Does this align with virtue? Imagery. Virtue as a compass, pointing through moral fog. This compass finds expression in dialogue, the art that keeps Socrates' spirit alive. Conversation can be a battle or a bridge. Socrates chose the latter. His dialogues, as in Symposium, weren't about winning but uncovering truth together. Engaging all, slaves, elites, he democratized wisdom, asking, "What is love?" and sparking revelations. Plato's Academy, Aristotle's Lyceum, Augustine's Dialogues, Nietzsche's Dialectics, all stem from this. Today, it shapes education, therapy, and ethical debates. Practice it. Listen deeply. Question assumptions in talks. Metaphor. Dialogue as a forge, refining ideas into truth. Have you ever stood at a crossroads, uncertain of your path, yet pressed forward by the weight of habit? Socrates believed that to pause and probe one's soul is the essence of a meaningful life. In the bustling agora, as depicted in Plato's Laches, he engages generals like Nicias, asking, "What is courage? Is it mere bravery in battle, or something deeper within?" Their answers falter, revealing that even heroes lack self-awareness. Socrates' method wasn't a lecture but to guide, like a midwife coaxing truth from within. His famous claim, "The unexamined life is not worth living," from Apology, isn't a judgment but an invitation, a call to turn inward and confront the beliefs shaping your choices. This self-examination defined his legacy. Plato, his student, wove it into the Phaedrus, exploring the soul's chariot driven by reason and passion. Aristotle systematized it in Nicomachean Ethics, arguing that reflection leads to eudaimonia, or flourishing. Augustine's Confessions turned it spiritual, probing sin to find grace, while Nietzsche, in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, challenges a path to self-overcoming. Today, self-examination thrives in cognitive behavioral therapy, where patients question automatic thoughts, and in mindfulness practices that echo Socratic introspection. Philosophers like Hannah Arendt use it to confront moral complicity in modernity, urging individuals to think critically amid societal pressures. Consider Socrates' life, a stonemason's son who could have lived quietly, yet chose to question Athens' elite, knowing it risked exile or death. In Gorgias, he challenges the rhetorician Callicles, who champions power over justice, asking, "Is a life of pleasure the same as a good life?" The dialogue exposes Callicles' contradictions, showing that unexamined desires lead to ruin. This was an abstract debate, but a mirror for Athens, and for you. In our age, we're bombarded by distractions, social media metrics, career ladders, societal norms. Yet, how often do you ask, "Why am I doing this? Does it align with who I am?" Practically, adopt Socratic self-examination. Each evening, journal 3 questions. What did I do today that felt true to me? Where did I act out of fear or habit? What would virtue demand tomorrow? In relationships, pause before reacting. Ask, is my anger justified, or am I projecting? At work, question goals. Is this promotion worth my peace? These acts, though small, are revolutionary. They dismantle autopilot living, replacing it with intention. Metaphorically, self-examination is a lantern in the soul's dark cave, as Plato's allegory suggests, guiding you from shadows to light. But this light demands courage, for it reveals truths we often avoid. Socrates faced such truths unflinchingly, even as Athens turned against him. His example leads us to a deeper question. What does it mean to stand alone for truth? Let's explore this solitude as strength, the next step in his journey. You're watching Socratic Spark. If his philosophy sparks something in you, subscribe now and keep the flame of knowledge alive. In moments of isolation, when the world's voices fade, do you find clarity or fear? Socrates embraced solitude not as loneliness but as a crucible for truth. In Crito, as he awaits execution in a stark Athenian cell, his friend urges escape. Socrates refuses, saying, "We must not heed the opinion of the many, but the truth." Alone with his principles, he found strength where others saw despair. This wasn't isolation for its own sake, but a deliberate retreat into the self, where truth could speak unfiltered. His dialogues, often solitary in their depth, as in Phaedo's reflections on death, show a man at peace with his inner world, unshaken by external clamor. This solitude shaped philosophy profoundly. Plato's Republic imagines a philosopher king, solitary in contemplation yet serving society. Aristotle's emphasis on contemplation as a highest life echoes this, while Augustine's solitary prayers and confessions seek divine truth. Nietzsche, in Zarathustra, celebrates a solitary one who forges new values apart from the herd. Modernly, thinkers like Thoreau drew on Socratic solitude in Walden, advocating simplicity to hear one's inner voice. In psychology, Carl Jung's individuation process mirrors this, urging integration of the self through introspective solitude. Socrates' life embodied this strength. Unlike the sophists, who thrived on crowds, he sought truth in quiet moments, whether questioning a single student or facing death alone. In Euthyphro, his solitary probe into piety challenges societal norms, showing that truth often requires standing apart. Today, we're rarely alone, tethered to devices and opinions. Yet, solitude is where we confront our core. When was the last time you sat in silence, asking, "What do I truly value?" Apply this. Carve out daily solitude, 10 minutes without screens, asking, "What matters most to me?" In decisions, resist groupthink. Ask, "Does this align with my truth?" Solitude isn't escape but empowerment. Metaphor, it's the still lake reflecting the stars of your soul, undisturbed by the world's ripples. Socrates' solitude fortified him for his ultimate test, leading us to explore how truth confronts power. When have you faced a choice between silence and truth, knowing the cost could be everything? Socrates lived this dilemma in 399 BC, standing before Athens' jury, accused of impiety and corrupting youth. In Plato's Apology, he declares, "I shall obey God rather than you, and while I have life and strength, I shall never cease from the practice and teaching of philosophy." This wasn't defiance but duty, a refusal to let power silence truth. His trial exposed Athens' hypocrisy, a democracy fearing a single thinker's questions. By choosing hemlock over compromise, Socrates proved true supremacy over might. His stand reverberated. Plato's Crito defends justice over expediency, inspiring the Academy's ethical inquiries. Aristotle's Politics critiques unchecked power, while Augustine's City of God pits divine truth against earthly corruption. Nietzsche, in The Birth of Tragedy, both admired and critiqued Socrates' rational defiance. Today, his spirit fuels figures like Nelson Mandela, who face imprisonment for truth, and journalists exposing corruption despite threats. In your life, truth often clashes with power, perhaps a boss demanding unethical shortcuts or culture-stifling dissent. Socrates' example urges courage. Ask, "Is my silence complicity?" Speak up in meetings. Challenge misinformation online with facts, not fury. Metaphor. Truth is a river carving through stone, relentless yet patient. This defiance requires resilience, guiding us to the endurance of Socratic conviction. When life tests your resolve, what anchors you? Socrates' unwavering conviction sustained him through ridicule, exile threats, and death. In Gorgias, he debates Callicles, who argues might makes right. Socrates counters, "The good life is one of virtue, not power." His consistency, living as he taught, made him a beacon. Even in prison, as Phaedo recounts, he discusses the soul's immortality with calm assurance, embodying conviction to his final breath. This endurance shaped philosophy. Plato's laws builds on Socratic ethics. Aristotle's virtues emphasize consistency. Augustine's faith mirrors his steadfastness. And Nietzsche, with a power, engages with Socratic resolve. Modernly, it inspires resilience in activists like Greta Thunberg, who persist despite scorn, and in everyday heroes upholding principles under pressure. Cultivate conviction. Define your core values. Write them down. When challenged, ask, "Does this align with my truth?" Consistency builds trust in yourself and others. Metaphor. Conviction is the oak standing firm in the storm, rooted in virtue. This strength prepares us to explore how Socrates faced mortality itself. Death looms over every life, yet how often do we confront it? Socrates met his end with serene courage, as Phaedo describes, drinking hemlock while debating the soul's immortality. "We owe a cock to Asclepius," he said, implying death heals the soul's burdens. This wasn't denial but acceptance. A life examined makes death a transition, not an end. His calm defiance of mortality stunned Athens, proving philosophy's power over fear. Plato's Phaedo explores the soul's eternity. Aristotle's On the Soul grapples with mortality. Augustine's theology promises eternal life. And Nietzsche's eternal recurrence challenges us to embrace life fully. Today, hospice care and existential therapy draw on Socratic acceptance, helping people face death with dignity. Practice this. Reflect on mortality weekly. Ask, am I living a life I'd accept at its end? In grief, seek meaning, not avoidance. Metaphor, death is a horizon where life's meaning dawns. This acceptance leads to the pursuit of wisdom as life's purpose. What is the aim of your days? Success, pleasure, or something deeper? Socrates saw wisdom as life's ultimate pursuit. In Meno, he proves a slave boy holds innate knowledge, asking, is not wisdom the guide to virtue? His dialogue sought not fame but understanding, a quest for the eternal truths beneath fleeting desires. Plato's Symposium elevates wisdom as love's highest form. Aristotle's Metaphysics seeks first principles. Augustine pursues divine wisdom, and Nietzsche redefines it as self-creation. Today, wisdom drives scientific inquiry and ethical AI debates, seeking truth over profit. Pursue wisdom. Read diverse perspectives. Ask, what can I learn here? In decisions, prioritize understanding over expediency. Metaphor, wisdom is a star guiding the sailor through life's seas. This pursuit fosters harmony, our next theme. When have you felt truly at peace, your actions align with your core? Socrates taught that virtue creates harmony within the soul. In Republic, he likens the soul to a city, balanced when reason rules passion and appetite. His life modeled this, simple, focused, unwavering. Plato's tripartite soul, Aristotle's golden mean, Augustine's divine harmony, and Nietzsche's tension of opposites all draw from this. Modern psychology's flow state and mindfulness echo Socratic balance. Seek harmony, align daily actions with values. Ask, does this bring me peace? Practice moderation in habits. Metaphor, the soul is a lyre tuned by virtue strings. This harmony inspires others, leading to Socratic influence. Have you ever sparked a change in someone's perspective? Socrates' dialogues, like Lysis on friendship, didn't impose but inspired. He taught youth like Alcibiade to question, planting seeds of truth. His influence outlived him, as Apology shows, despite his death. Plato's Academy, Aristotle's teachings, Augustine's sermons, and Nietzsche's provocations carried this forward. Today, teachers, coaches, and leaders embody it, fostering critical thinking. Inspire, share questions, not answers, in conversations. Mentor with patience. Metaphor, Socrates is a spark igniting minds. This influence builds community, our final theme. What does it mean to belong to a community that values truth? Socrates envisions society awakened by dialogue, as in Crito, where he respects justice over escape. His questions aim to elevate Athens, not divide it. Plato's Republic dreams of a just city. Aristotle's Politics seeks communal good. Augustine's City of God envisions divine community. And Nietzsche critiques call for authentic collectives. Today, truth-seeking communities thrive in open-source projects and ethical forums. Build this. Foster honest discussions. Question group norms. Metaphor, community as a tapestry woven by truthful threads. This vision completes Socrates' journey, urging us to live his legacy. Have you ever clung to a belief only to find it crumble under scrutiny? In the heart of Athens, Socrates stood as a beacon of intellectual humility, a man who dared to admit the limits of his knowledge in a city intoxicated by its own certainty. In Plato's Charmides, he engages a young noble, probing the nature of temperance. Is it self-control or something more? As Charmides stumbles, Socrates doesn't mock but guides, saying, we must first know what we do not know. This wasn't weakness but strength, a recognition that true understanding begins with the courage to confess ignorance. Unlike the sophists, who peddled polished answers for profit, Socrates embraced the discomfort of uncertainty, turning it into a catalyst for growth. His approach wasn't about amassing facts, but about cultivating a mind open to revision, a soul willing to unlearn. This humility reshaped philosophy's course. Plato, inspired by Socrates' modesty, crafted the Theaetetus, when knowledge itself is questioned, laying the groundwork for epistemology. Aristotle, in his Metaphysics, built on this by emphasizing inquiry over dogma, insisting that philosophy begins in wonder. Augustine, in Confessions, wove Socratic humility into his spiritual quest, admitting human limits before divine truth. Nietzsche, despite his critiques in Twilight of the Idols, admired Socrates' intellectual honesty, seeing it as a precursor to his own call for re-evaluating values. In modernity, this humility lives in scientific skepticism. Think of Einstein, who questioned Newtonian certainties, or in philosophy's existential tone, where thinkers like Sartre grapple with the unknown to define human freedom. Today, intellectual humility is a rare gem in a world of polarized debates and self-proclaimed experts. Social media amplifies certainty, rewarding loud opinions over thoughtful doubt. Yet, Socrates' example challenges you. Can you admit when you're wrong? In Apology, he recounts consulting the Delphic oracle, which declared him wisest because he knew his ignorance. This paradox invites you to question your assumptions about politics, morality, even your own identity. Imagine Socrates in your shoes, facing a heated family argument or workplace dogma. He'd pause, ask, "What evidence supports this?" and listen, not to win, but to understand. Practically, cultivate this humility. In conversations, practice saying, "I might be mistaken, tell me more." When learning, approach new topics as a beginner, asking, "What don't I know here?" In decision-making, list your assumptions and test them. Does your career path align with your values, or is it driven by unexamined expectations? At school or work, seek feedback, not flattery, and reflect, what can I improve? This isn't self-doubt but liberation, freeing you from the prison of false certainty. Metaphorically, intellectual humility is the open window of the mind, letting in the fresh air of truth while clearing the stale fumes of arrogance. Socrates' humility wasn't passive. It was a disciplined pursuit, a way of life that required resilience. To live humbly is to invite growth, but also to face resistance from those who cling to certainty. This resilience leads us to explore how Socrates endured the personal cost of his philosophy. What price are you willing to pay for truth? Socrates' life was a testament to the sacrifices demanded by authenticity. In Plato's Crito, as he sits in a dim prison cell, his friend offers escape from execution. Socrates refuses, stating, "To live justly is better than to live long." His choice wasn't martyrdom but principle. He believed betraying his values would harm his soul more than death could harm his body. In Athens, a city celebrating its democratic ideals, Socrates paid dearly for his honesty. Ridiculed as a nuisance, ostracized by elites, and ultimately sentenced to death in 399 BC. He faced isolation, slander, and loss. Yet, he persisted, engaging even his accusers in dialogue, as in Euthyphro, asking, "What is piety?" to expose their shallow righteousness. This sacrifice influenced philosophy profoundly. Plato's Gorgias defends justice over expediency, inspired by Socrates' stand. Aristotle's Ethics explores the cost of virtue, arguing that the good life demands sacrifice. Augustine, in City of God, saw Socratic suffering as akin to Christian martyrdom, while Nietzsche, in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, grappled with the cost of defying the herd. Today, this resonates in figures like Martin Luther King Jr., who face imprisonment and death for justice, or in whistleblowers exposing corporate greed at personal risk. In your life, truth carries costs. Speaking out against workplace misconduct might risk your job. Challenging a friend's harmful behavior could strain ties. Socrates' example asks, "Are you willing to pay?" In Apology, he says, "A man who is good for anything ought not to calculate the chance of living or dying." This isn't recklessness but clarity. Truth is worth more than comfort. Today, misinformation thrives, from fake news to manipulative ads. Standing for truth means researching claims, sharing facts despite backlash, or refusing to conform to popular but flawed narratives. Apply this. When faced with injustice, ask, what's the right thing, regardless of cost? In small acts, correcting a colleague's error or admitting your own mistake, choose integrity. Journal the costs you fear, social rejection, career setbacks, and weigh them against your values. Metaphor. Living truthfully is forging a sword in fire, its strength born from enduring heat. This sacrifice builds character, leading us to explore how Socrates cultivated inner freedom. When the world binds you with expectations, where do you find freedom? Socrates found it within, in the autonomy of his mind and soul. In Phaedo, Facing Death, he speaks of the soul's immortality, saying, "The true philosopher practices dying." This wasn't morbidity but liberation, a freedom from fear, achieved by aligning his life with reason and virtue. Unlike Athens' elites, enslaved by wealth and status, Socrates lived simply, as Xenophon recounts, owning little but rich in thought. His dialogues, like Lysis on friendship, show a man unbound by external validation, free to question and seek truth. This inner freedom shaped philosophy. Plato's allegory of the cave depicts liberation from illusion, inspired by Socrates' autonomy. Aristotle's on the soul ties freedom to rational choice, while Augustine's free choice of the will sees it as aligning with divine good. Nietzsche's Zarathustra celebrates the free spirit, echoing Socratic independence. Today, it lives in mindfulness practices that free us from reactive emotions and in activists like Aung San Suu Kyi, who found freedom in principle despite house arrest. In our world, freedom is often external: money, status, likes. Yet, Socrates asks, are you free within? Social pressures, from career demands to social media, chain us to others' judgments. In Gorgias, he challenges Callicles' hedonism, asking, is freedom indulgence or mastery of desires? True freedom, he shows, is choosing virtue over temptation. Imagine Socrates scrolling your feed. Would he chase trends or question their worth? Practice this. Define your values. Write three that guide you. When tempted to conform, ask, does this serve my truth? Meditate daily, focusing on inner calm over external noise. Metaphor. Inner freedom is a citadel unassailable by the world's storms. This liberation empowers us to seek justice, our next theme. What does it mean to live justly in an unjust world? Socrates saw justice not as laws, but as the soul's harmony with the good. In Republic, he asks, is justice merely the advantage of the stronger? Through dialogue, he argues it's a balance within and between souls, a principle he lived by refusing to harm others, even under sentence of death. In Crito, he rejects escape, saying, we must not do wrong, even to avoid wrong. His justice was active, challenging Athens' corruption through questions that uplifted rather than destroyed. Plato's laws build a just society on Socratic principles. Aristotle's Politics defines justice as fairness. Augustine's City of God ties it to divine order, and Nietzsche critiques it as construct to be revalued. Today, justice drives movements like Black Lives Matter and ethical tech advocacy, questioning systemic inequities. In your life, justice means acting rightly despite pressure. At work, refuse to cut ethical corners. In community, advocate for fairness. Ask, who's being excluded? Metaphor. Justice is a riverbed, guiding the flow of human actions. This quest shapes character, leading to our final theme, authenticity. Who are you when no one watches? Socrates lived authentically, his actions mirroring his beliefs. In Symposium, his speech on love reflects a life devoted to truth, not appearance. He taught, as Xenophon notes, without payment, unlike sophists chasing fame. His authenticity shone in Apology, where he says, I am what I am, speaking plainly. This wasn't pride but fidelity to his soul's truth. Plato's Phaedrus explores authentic love. Aristotle's virtues demand genuine character. Augustine's Confessions seek authentic faith. And Nietzsche's Zarathustra calls for authentic self-creation. Today, authenticity drives personal branding and ethical leadership, rejecting facades. Live authentically, align actions with values. Ask, am I true to myself? Reject performative social media posts. Share your real thoughts. Metaphor, authenticity is the uncarved block, pure and unmarred. This completes Socrates' journey, urging you to live his legacy boldly. As the golden light of the Athenian sun fades, we return to that solemn prison cell where Socrates, surrounded by weeping friends, lifts a cup of hemlock to his lips. The year is 399 BC, and the air is heavy with grief, yet Socrates' eyes are calm, his voice steady as he speaks of the soul's journey in Phaedo. We owe a cock to Asclepius. He says, a cryptic nod to death is a release from life's burdens. This is not a moment of defeat, but of triumph, a life lived in unwavering pursuit of truth, courage, and virtue, sealed with serene acceptance. Dear listener, This scene isn't locked in antiquity. It's a mirror held up to your own existence, asking, are you living a life you can face with such clarity at its end? Socrates' journey, from the bustling agora to the shadowed cell, is a story of a man who dared to question, to stand alone, and to die authentically, leaving a legacy that burns brightly across millennia. His core wisdom pulses through this journey like a heartbeat. Ignorance is a spark of knowledge, for only by admitting what we don't know can we begin to learn, as he showed in Theaetetus. Virtue is the soul's compass, guiding us through moral storms, as he argued in Republic. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the resolve to live truthfully, even when power demands silence, as his trial and apology proved. And the examined life, his clarion call in Crito, is the only life worth living, a life of relentless self-scrutiny in a freedom and authentic purpose. These truths, born in the streets of Athens, resonate in our world of division and distraction, where algorithms amplify falsehoods and conformity tempts us to betray our souls. Socrates' questions, what is justice? What is the good life? Are not relics but lifelines, urging you to cut through the noise and find your own truth. His influence is a river flowing through history, shaping Plato's Academy, Aristotle's Ethics, Augustine's spiritual quests, and Nietzsche's bold revaluations. Today, it lives in the scientist's skepticism, the activist's defiance, the therapist's probing questions, and the quiet moments when you pause to reflect. Socrates was condemned by Athens, yet exalted by time, his death a testament to the power of a single voice to awaken humanity. Misunderstood as a troublemaker, he was a gadfly, stinging society awake, as he declared in Apology. His legacy isn't in marble statues, but in the minds he stirred, the souls he freed to question, to seek, to live. To honor Socrates is not to recite his words, but to embody his spirit. In your daily life, ask the hard questions. Why do I chase this goal? Does this choice align with my values? When faced with injustice, speak even if your voice trembles. In moments of doubt, embrace humility, knowing that wisdom begins where certainty ends. In relationships, listen as he did, with curiosity, not judgment. Build communities where truth is a tapestry woven by honest dialogue, as he envisioned in Crito. These acts, small yet seismic, are how you carry his lantern forward, illuminating the shadows of your world. Picture yourself now, standing at the edge of your own journey, Socrates' voice whispering across centuries. Examine your life, my friend, and live it boldly. His death was not an end but a beginning, a call to live with clarity, courage, and authenticity. As the hemlock stilled his breath, his ideas took flight, eternal as the stars above Athens. Let them guide you, dear listener, as you navigate the storms of your own existence. The examined life is your inheritance, a light no darkness can extinguish. Step forward, question fiercely, and live as Socrates did, with truth as your guide and courage as your shield. This was just one spark of wisdom, but there's so much more ahead. Join the journey, subscribe to Socratic Spark, and let philosophy guide your path to success.